Hello, this is Christiane Piano, and welcome to your Reset Reflections. Today's reflection is all about taking your foot off the gas pedal, reducing speed. As we're into the spring season, the days get longer. We have an opportunity to slow things down. And we're moving towards a time of the year where we have more opportunities to spend outside in nature because the days are longer, the temperatures are rising, and spending time in nature and slowing down is a fundamental to your overall body-mind well-being. Much of modern pace of living, ways of life, creates a great deal of wear and tear, not just on our bodies physically, but on every layer of our being. The musculoskeletal system loves speed, but the rest of our body, including our internal organs, does not love speed. And many people today are dealing with burnout, feeling overwhelmed, stressed, tired, and feeling like even if they want to begin to practice even a minimum of self-care, they just don't feel like they have energy for it. Like they've got nothing left to give, not even to themselves. And whenever we want to invite a shift with ourselves, if our nervous system is stuck in a certain modality, like that, pedal to the metal, fast-paced, run, go, super busy schedule, even vacations jam-packed, like every day of the year is scheduled. Or perhaps there's the antithesis. You struggle to get out of bed. You struggle to make any plans and engage with life on any level. So in one, there's an example of being stuck, our nervous system stuck in the sympathetic mode, and the other is the parasympathetic. And we need all aspects of our nervous system. But more and more people are seeing a rise in their challenge to be resilient, to pop in and out. We tend to get stuck in one modality. And so resting and recovering becomes challenging because there's too much speed trapped in the nervous system, or there's not enough energy in the nervous system to get one moving. And reflecting on where you are in this will be fundamental because your relationship to unplugging, not once in a while, but on a daily, is a fundamental support. And it's becoming no longer a luxury, but more of a requirement if one wants to continue to live life, not just survive, from a centered space. Now, as anything I always suggest starting off small. So if you're going to unplug, you don't want to start off with an extreme. You want to start off with perhaps 5 minutes and gradually over time, maybe doing unplugging for 5 minutes a day. And then you set up, maybe I'll try 10. And you go to 15 until you get to an hour. Till eventually maybe you're able to unplug for an entire day. And you may even need to schedule in the unplugging so you can make it a priority. Because it's not going to happen on its own. Unless you go into full burnout and then your body-mind will force you into it. So, we can be preventive here and create a brand new lifestyle And what will it look like for you? Well, this is where it gets fun, because it doesn't have to look in any way. It can look whatever way you need it to, depending on your circumstances. So one of the questions you can start with is, well, what do I need to unplug from? Do I need to unplug from work, news, social media, distractions, my phone, email, over socializing, whatever it looks like for you. Only you know what you need to unplug from. And that will change over time. And this is where it gets fun. So you can get curious and explore the different impacts of what you unplug from, and then how regenerated you feel after the time spent being unplugged. And one of the wonderful ways to unplug is to spend time in nature. But that may require, especially if you live in a city, going somewhere. You don't need to go anywhere to actually be able to unplug. You can do it in the quiet and the comfort of your own home. Now, some of you may think, but my home's not very quiet. Well, you can retreat to a room and shut a door if the place is big enough, and request of those that you live with for some quiet time. But if that's not possible, you may need to move yourself to a place that dedicates time and space to unplugging. So reducing stimulation, coming to a place of quiet, a slowing down that supports contemplating and reflecting. Taking time out to reflect is extremely supportive to any growth process. It affords you a moment to see how far you've come, to reassess, and to look at all that is. Because the specialty of the mind is pointing out all that is not. So making it a practice to take time out to focus on all that is hugely supportive. And one way that's accessible to anyone is through one of your 5 senses. Tapping into your senses supports you in coming alive. And I actually have a service called Sensescapes that supports you in doing that in pure listening. It's free and available directly through the website www.christianpiano.com if you want to check that out, or if you've forgotten that it's there. It's free and available to anyone. And the reason I made it that way is because of just how powerful it is, and it helps reset the nervous system no matter which modality you're in, if you can practice pure hearing. And they're nature sounds. So you'll suspend any thought process and hone your awareness on the sounds. And whenever you get distracted, you just bring your attention back to the sounds. And one of the things that is supportive about this is it's feedback to you on just how distracted you are and how the monkey mind just goes. So practicing slowing it down, focusing on pure sound helps reset the nervous system naturally. What is it that drives each and every one of us to keep the pedal to the metal even if we're feeling tired? For most, it's survival. Bills to pay, expectations to meet, pressures and stresses of daily life. But we're not doing ourselves any favors by not taking care of ourselves. There's this beautiful quote by David Thoreau, and he stated, "The mass of men live lives of quiet desperation." There are so many people today struggling, but quietly. Because it's not in vogue to choose the road less traveled. The road of constant activity, creating, developing, putting yourself out there, increasing your numbers. It's a lot of pressure. But when you come to a place where you give yourself permission to choose, quiet pondering rather than constant activity, sitting in stillness, emptiness, not an emptiness that is depriving, but an emptiness that is rich and full. And in that space, there's joy and light. It's extremely regenerative. So say you do come to a place where you have found that you give yourself permission to unplug, to take the foot off the gas pedal. At first, you probably have some sense of relief. And maybe a thought, something like, oh, I really needed this. This is great. But what happens over time if you don't re-engage? For most people, some kind of discomfort starts to come underneath the skin. There's a sense of, I gotta get back to it. Gotta get back to it. Gotta jump back onto that hamster wheel. Enough is enough. And where do we get that from? Where do we learn that from? When you think of pleasure, like for example, what do you do after a hard day of work or week of work or a month of work? What do you do? Because you see, once your survival needs have been taken care of, like earning money to put a roof over your head and food on the table, clothes on your back. It's the next natural biological step to want to engage in something that's pleasurable. And what is your relationship to pleasure? Some people think it's frivolous. Some people have learned that pleasure comes with strings attached. Some people believe, okay, this is the time allotted, and once that's done, that's enough. There's something that's not essential about pleasure. But yet pleasure invites us to pay attention to our senses, to live fully in the present moment, to actually enjoy the experience of being alive. So can you give yourself permission to schedule in time of pleasure, to unplug and slow down, and to regenerate? And explore what that looks like for you. Explore the amount of time you're willing to give yourself to disengage, to simply be. And get curious. What is that discomfort that arises to the surface? And perhaps be willing to begin to explore that for yourself, so that can slowly be diffused. so that you can create a life for yourself where you are engaging and disengaging, and it's not programmed. It's not automatic mode. You choose it based on your circumstances, seasons of your life, seasons of the year, and you give yourself the freedom to design it, to erase the design, modify, over and over and again, choosing that which regenerates you and leaves you feeling fully alive, so you can enjoy in this one and precious life. As always, I do hope you found something that resonated in taking the time to listen to this reflection. Feel free to like or follow or even share this with someone who you think it may resonate with.